What's up, everybody? Thanks for jumping back on the YouTube. I'm really excited today for this video. It's super simple, but it's just an explanation and me actually showing exactly how I found and got my first deal, and literally just looking at the spreadsheet that it was sitting on that I called on to get that deal. So sometimes, it's not super complicated. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's really just as simple as what I'm about to show you. So definitely take a look. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and like this video so that I can keep making more content to hopefully help other people follow in the path that I have taken and find success in whatever that might be.
All right, everybody. I'm excited about this video today. I'm going to be breaking down on my computer exactly what I did to find my first ever real estate investing subject to deal. So just going to be breaking down the software I used, how I found it, maybe a little bit more about the story. Probably do like a whiteboard breakdown of the deal on the next video or soon, but wanted to break down technologically kind of what I did. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is the software that I use and a lot of people that I know use to find real estate deals, and that software is called PropStream. So if you don't already have PropStream, it does cost money. When you think about the money you can make using it, pretty negligible, but it does cost money. If you don't already have it, I'll throw a link in the description for you to get PropStream. It's the way that I find all my deals, and it's very helpful. So what PropStream does is it just takes all of like the real estate and MLS data and organizes it and allows you to filter all of the listings, whether they're on or off market, to filter those listings specifically for what you're looking for, right? So if you look up here on the filters, there's a bunch of lists you can click on: pre-foreclosures, bank owned, free and clear properties, failed listings. There's so many options. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to talk about specifically the filter that I used when I was getting my first deal. And that was looking at deals that were on market, being sold with an agent, like every other house that you can probably think of in a typical real estate investing or just a typical real estate standpoint. And I'm just looking for those houses that potentially may not have much equity, right? That's the specific thing that we look for, is what we would call a low equity house. And so when I go into PropStream, the filter that I used was I just looked on here at the property characteristics, and I said I'm looking for single family properties. I click that guy right there. And then I went to the MLS status. This is all pretty straightforward, right? It says on market, so I'm going to say yes, I want it to be on market. Listing type, I want it to be for sale. And then the status, I want it to be active. Right? So you can see all that kind of adding up over there. So like I said, that's what I'm looking for. Under ownership info, you want the owner to be an individual, right? So I'm not really looking right now. I'm looking for people that need my help. So I'm not looking for businesses that own properties or investors or whatever. So I just click individual owner type right there. And then on my first deal, what I did is I then just went down here to equity. You see where it says estimated equity? And I threw in 15%. So again, I'm looking for people that don't have a lot of equity in their house. And you can see after I've done all of those filters, I'm in Denver County. And you can see there's only 16 properties, right? So not a ton of properties, because these are very specific things. And if you look on this list, you'll see negative equity, pretty low equity there. This is an outlier that you'll want to get rid of. So a bunch of different stuff in here. And what I was doing when I started was I would run through these lists on a bunch of different counties, bunch of different areas. And I would literally just take these addresses and highlight them. I don't even know if I can highlight it. But I would grab these addresses and I would put them over here into a Google Sheet. So for all you people that think you have to have like super fancy software, not the case. Yeah, absolutely. The more software you have, the easier it is. But I was just running everything in this here Google Doc. So not super crazy, not super exciting. And I would literally just take those lists, copy the addresses, and then if you go on PropStream, so like if we click on this first house here on PropStream, you can find all the information about the house. So usually, let's see, it'll have an MLS tab, and you can see it's an active MLS listing. And I'll just go down, and you'll be able to usually find the realtor info. Let's see, I didn't have it. Let's see. MLS details, agent information. So this one's not great either, but it'll show the agent's information or the agent's office or whatever. And I'll literally just copy those details into my little sheet here. You can see super basic. Again, like I said, phone number and their first name. That's all I had. And so what I would do is I would literally just take these listings and I would just start calling each phone number. And I'm going to start sharing some live seller calls, some live, breakdowns of what my phone calls actually look like. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm calling and I'm literally just trying to understand the situation. So every single house that's being sold has a different situation, whether it's been listed for a long time or it's been listed for a day. And you want to understand everything you can about the house. And the most important thing to do is to get the 4 pillars. So what I teach the people that work with me now and what I learned when I was getting started was to focus on just getting those 4 pillars right off the bat with these houses. And I should probably whiteboard this too, but the 4 pillars, really simply, the first one is I'm just going to be looking at the condition of the house. So is the house rent ready? Is it ready to rock? Is there holes in the wall? Is it livable? I want to look at the price. Okay, I'm looking at the price of this house, figuring out, do they have flexibility on the price? What's going on there? Are they super stuck at their price, which a lot of these people are? Next thing I'm looking at is their motivation. So what is actually motivating them to sell? Some people are just checking out the market, as they say. And some people are like, oh yeah, I've already moved out. I can't afford to make the payment on this house. Like, I need to sell it as quickly as possible. And then the last one is their timeline. So again, that kind of goes back to the motivation that I mentioned with the timeline. People will say, I need to be out of this house in the next 2 weeks. Some people will say, well, we don't plan on moving for another 3 months. And that's really important information to know too. And so when I'm getting started, when I'm calling these phone numbers, I'm literally just asking them that information. And if you scroll over, you'll probably see some of my notes over here. I'll just take like little seller notes. Here you go. Checking with seller, follow up, like not super exciting notes. But I'll just take little seller notes. And then what I did when I started was I would just pick a bunch of colors that now probably mean almost nothing to me. But I would just throw a bunch of colors in there. So I know green means go. That's for dang sure. So the green ones probably meant that they were interested in selling to an investor. Red ones probably meant that they said some things that I probably wouldn't like to repeat about me buying their house. And then the other colors are probably somewhere in between. And I literally did this. I mean, you can see how many properties I would do this on. I literally would just keep calling these people and asking them these questions and writing it down in my notebook and trying to figure out the situation. That's all it was. And the crazy thing about this is that as disorganized as this looks, as confusing as it is, if I scroll down and keep scrolling through all these properties, all these notes, all these phone calls, and I get down here to the bottom, row 175 right there, that's actually the first real estate deal that I ever closed. And you can see it right here, 8199 Welby Road, unit 2304 in Denver, Colorado. So I bought that house, and there's a whole story with it, and I'm going to do a whiteboard breakdown of the entire deal. But there it is right there. So you can see I'm not making this up. Like, this is a real Google Doc with a bunch of crap that barely makes sense. And right at the bottom of it is my first deal. So that's how I did it. I literally would just pull those prop stream lists, copy and paste them into here, and just make phone calls all day. Hundreds of phone calls. And this is just the beginning. This is just one page. Then I've got my other pages that I started throwing stuff on. Now they've all been emptied. New primary. We're looking for a house. So I would make all these different tabs, all these different pages, and just make phone calls as much as I could. This phone call that I made for this house that we ended up buying, I would call them at least once a week on my lunch break at work. So at least once a week, usually on Mondays, I had a reminder, and I would just call these people and check in and see if they were ready to sell to me yet when I was on my lunch break at work. And we ended up closing this deal on my lunch break at work. So I just literally just kept calling these people as much as I could, answering as many questions as I could with them. And again, I'll tell the whole story later, but what ended up happening with this one was they needed the confirmation of a lender to finally agree to sell to us subject to, and let us take over those mortgage payments. And so I actually brought in another sub-2 student, another friend, Josh, and Josh ended up helping me close this deal. So shout out to Josh. because he's the reason that I ended up getting my first deal. And from that, it kind of spiraled and started getting more and more deals as a result of this first one, and kind of the confidence that came with it. But you can see, like, everything that I was doing here was super trivial, like not well organized. These colors, I don't even barely understand these colors anymore. So I was all over the place. I was just typing crap into PropStream, pulling lists off of there, and making phone calls. And at the end of the day, from the first time that I called 8199 Welby Road to the last time that I called them, was probably almost 6 months. So that first time I called them, they said no way, and I just kept calling them. I just kept calling and asking to see if anything on those 4 pillars had changed, if the scenario had changed, because things change all the time, right? Think about it. Like, these houses, someone changes, they change their mind, they have a buyer and the buyer drops out. Like, things change. And when you end up getting a deal, it's because you're the person that consistently connects with that agent or connects with that seller and really listens to what they have to say and actually tries to solve their problem and not just tries to buy an investment property off of them. And so 6 months from start to close on this one. I think my first contact was in March, and we closed it at the end of August. So almost 6 months of calling them. But that's literally it. That's the breakdown of how I got my first deal. Threw that into PropStream, copied it, and just started making phone calls. I want to do some videos on how you can even do that on Zillow, because the reality is you don't need to spend a single dollar to find these real estate deals, especially if you surround yourself with people that can help you get them to the finish line. It's very possible. It's not easy, or else everybody would do it, but it is possible. It just takes time and it takes learning. And this was a huge learning experience for me for so many reasons, because even though this ended up being my first deal, it did not go smoothly. Big shocker, first deal didn't go smoothly. So there's plenty of story behind it, and I'm definitely going to do a deal breakdown of it to talk more about it. But hopefully that was helpful, just talking about PropStream a little bit, how PropStream works, how you can find these deals that potentially might want to sell to you subject to, because they're in a tough position where you can actually be helpful to them, and how I did it straight up, and you're looking right at it. So pretty cool. Hopefully that was helpful. Appreciate you dropping by. If you have any questions or learned something, feel free to leave a comment down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Appreciate it.